where it starts. So normally we'll just go into this goofy mode of introducing ourselves, but we have a guest on right away, and we're going to get right to the nitty gritty. So I am Brian Bacchus, will never be.
I am Jamal Smith, and we have the illustrious.
I'm Toni Bailey Rains. But wait a minute. You're not going to be your goofy self today, Brian? You're going to change
No, because you know what? But first of all, we're setting the precedence here. So as you guys know, we started at 10 a.m.
Because you guys know I be on the head about being on time.
Yeah. On her day. On her day. Just so y'all know, it's only on her day.
Nope. I try on the other days. It doesn't always happen.
No. We're saying me and Jamal want to be on time on your day. On other days, it's 10-ish, baby. 10-ish. That's 10-ish. How we do it. It's 10-ish. Like not tennis, but 10-ish.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being on time, because I'd be like, come on, y'all. Let's get it. We need to be on time. And I was the last one to log in today. That's the funny part.
That's all right. I was shocked when I came on because Matt was here before everybody.
Yep, that's good.
That was cool.
All right, you're here. Okay. And I just wanted to hear if I could hear him, and that's it. I went on about doing my business. He had to go get some coffee and all that. So we're going to drop off and let you guys have at it. Thank you very much, Matt, for being on.
And they're not dropping off. They're in the background is all, yes, in the green room.
He gets it.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
So welcome, Matt. This morning, everyone, we have Matt Russell from Level 42 Construction. I met Matt almost 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, at Friendship Church in Pasadena. He was there for their resource fair, and I was moderating. I was supposed to be just introducing who was coming up next, but because I know a lot of answers to stuff over the last 4 months, I wound up moderating and answering some questions. And I know it wasn't you, Matt, but it was somebody that is in your company downstairs on the lunch said, "How long have you been a builder?" to me. And I was like, "I'm not a builder. What are you talking about?" He was like, "Well, how do you know so much?" And it was literally because of what we're doing here, right? So they were like, I said, "Do you all want to come on?" And they were like, yes, but it should be Matt. And I was like, okay. So, we exchanged information. I gave you my contact card. And here you are today. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I want to talk to you a little bit about Level 42 Construction. And I'm going to be honest, because we were in the background talking about Altadena and that you've talked to people, but they're a little hesitant. But that's how we are in Altadena. We don't trust everybody. We try to vet people, bringing them on the show. And I did a builder's town hall back in March, the first Saturday of March, because, again, I didn't want people to wait, right? 4, 5, 6 months and then think about it. I know that part of the healing process is you got to know how to move forward. So I wanted to bring builders and say, look, this is what the process is, right? At least give people something so they could say, okay, now I can understand at least what my next steps are and what the process is and how to move forward. And so they've connected with a lot of those builders. Others are waiting and having builders or fairs now that, excuse me, like that you showed up at. And so now you're able to talk to some people in the area too. I've looked at your guys' website. I know you're in Sherman Oaks.
Right.
Excuse me, I got a little tickle. And I saw all the beautiful homes and the names of them and Wells Drive and this different stuff. I did not, however, see anything in Altadena or Pasadena that you all have done. So can you talk to me and let me know, have you done homes, whether they're remodels or rebuilds or anything up in the Altadena area? Even, we know Pasadena and Sierra Madre were affected by it. And I know you're a San Gabriel Valley guy because we talked. Yeah. And you're in the mountain communities like me and like us. But what have you all done in the area as far as remodels or rebuilds, especially up here Altadena?
Sorry to cut you off, but I actually started my career in Pasadena. I built most of the homes in the Eaton Canyon hillside, the homes that are the highest ones up on the hill. That's where I started my career, finishing the Kinaloa Irrigation District development with my father-in-law. But yeah, right now we have a project going on that's in a historic part of Pasadena, right below PCC on Rose Villa. We've actually done 3 houses on Rose Villa. We did a project last year that was on Madison that was also a historic property. And then Altadena specifically, a year before last, we did a complete interior remodel for a guy named Bill Platchkey. He's a sportscast announcer in Altadena.
Okay.
So yeah, I actually love working in Pasadena and Altadena.
That's good. I think that bodes well for people that may see you on the show today and decide they might want to reach out, right? Because so many people are coming into Altadena and Pasadena area too, but that have literally no affiliation, have never been there, but they know that people need homes rebuilt. So it's like, oh, is this now a money grab? Oh, is this a power grab? Oh, those kind of things. And so to know that you started there, you're very familiar, Kinaloa, that's right there, Eaton, where it all started. A lot of those houses didn't burn down, but sustained major fire damage and people have been displaced. I know a few families that was the case that live right there. Yeah. Others in the area, burned. And then it went up and around. So it kind of missed Kinaloa, even though it started there and then went up through Eaton and, the back way. So
it came right up to it. And luckily nothing burned in that area, surprisingly, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good to know that, so that people, when they watch this, even if they're not watching live, but when they watch later, will say, oh, okay, so he's not a total outsider, right? And you know the area and you've built in the area. And that's very, very important to those that are thinking about rebuilding. You've been in the industry, did you say 30 years?
20 years, actually. I've had I've had a contractor's license and been building homes under my own license since 2005. But I wanted to just bring up one quick point, if you don't mind, about our website. So a lot of people look at our website and they're intimidated by it and they think maybe they can't afford to use us, but for us, any type of new construction project, whether it's a 1,000 square foot house or a 5,000 square foot house or a 2,500 square foot house, that's a good project for us. We want to display some of our more high-end work to kind of give people an idea of what kind of quality we do. We're going to do the same quality work regardless of what size house we built. So anybody that takes a look at our website, I just want you to know that that's just a demonstration of what we're capable of. That doesn't necessarily represent like every project that we do.
Yeah, no, they're beautiful homes and the quality was amazing that I saw. My biggest thing was maybe for Rose Villa, you can put in parentheses Pasadena, right? Or some of the streets or whatever, because your office is in Sherman Oaks. Some of those houses are in the valley, right? And so, or Hollywood Hills or whatever. So if you have Rose Villa, people may not know that's in Pasadena, right? And so they may think, oh, this guy builds high-end houses only in that area, the valley, where you have a project going on right here locally. And so I think that maybe if you guys want to do that, that might help. If you have people looking to rebuild in our area and they say, oh, okay, great. But even you being on here saying, look, I started my career building homes right there in the Eaton Canyon area at Kinaloa, the Kinaloa Estates going up the hill, right? Yeah. That's huge because you're very familiar with the area, right? So I know that.
I think that's good advice.
Oh, thank you. I know that at the fair that we were at, you all talked about being a one-stop shop, or Miguel did, but he said that, and I came behind him to clarify what a one-stop shop is, just because some people still don't know. Yeah. And they really think I have to get an architect first, I have to get a surveyor, then I have to find a GC or a builder, and but tell them everything Level 42 offers as a one-stop shop, because some people still, like you said, some people are still grieving and processing their loss and can't yet move forward to talk to a builder, to talk to an architect or someone. So what is it that Level 42 offers as a one-stop shop? And what could you do to help somebody? And what's the process from your initial meeting until the end?
Yeah, so our approach is unique in that we will help a client get from A to Z, which, like you mentioned, starts with hiring an architect, structural engineer, surveyor, then a contractor. But what we do that's unique to a lot of guys is we don't package the whole process together. What we do is we act as an advocate for our clients in the initial phases. That means we don't collect any money from the client. We introduce our clients to architects. We help them. We work with several architects. So I'll pair a client with a couple of different architects. We'll do the interview with the architect together. I'll help them get an estimate from the architect, make sure that it has everything they need, nothing that they don't need. I think it's a fair price. And I do all these things in the initial phase at no charge to build a relationship with the client. There's a risk to us, of course. At the end of the day, there is no obligation to go with Level 42 construction. So we're really banking on the fact that in that first, let's say, 6 months or so, that we're going to build a relationship. Because, like you mentioned, of course, we do nice work. But it's really, when you do construction, it's such a personal experience. You really want to know who you're working with. So I really want to take that initial time to demonstrate to somebody, I'm a worthy partner in this whole thing. I've made some promises to you. Do I keep my promises? Do I answer my phone? Is the process, progressing like normal? So that's the initial process. So we'll help a client find an architect, get a surveyor, get all that stuff going. We'll take care of all of it. Pays the architect directly. We don't take a dime from it. But in that initial process, we'll create a preliminary estimate. So the architect will create like a preliminary drawing. And before he sends it to the engineer and before he goes and tries to get a permit, I'll take that rudimentary drawing and I'll create an estimate from it. And the reason I do that is because I can't tell you how many times people will bring me plans with the engineering, with the permits already issued, and then they find out it's outside of their budget.
Got it.
Then they have to go back, pay the architect to fix it, re-engineer it, resubmit it. And there's the whole delay. So we're able to give our clients a very accurate estimate with a very simple set of plans to make sure that you're not wasting any time going back and forth. And because we've been, I've been bidding, contracting since before I had my own contractor's license when I worked for my father-in-law. So I have a lot of comps. And because of that, our preliminary estimates are within 5% of the actual cost once we have engineering and permits. So we're very confident that once we give you that preliminary bid, that you can take that to the bank, and then we can move ahead and start construction.
So tell me, how would you work with someone? Because we have found that this is the case in Altadena, right? Yeah. And Eden Fire people. How would you work with someone that had a house passed down from a great grandmother, right? It's generational, because so many houses in Altadena on the west side are generational houses, right? So they've lost it. They have the deed or title to the lot. They still have access to that.
All right, looks like Toni may have frozen for a second. Not sure exactly what she was going to do.
I think I need to close some windows. 1 second.
Yeah, you're back now. Cool.
I know. I'm back, and I saw it, but I'm just going to close some of these windows because apparently I have too many open. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. It's okay. It's my computer. If I have too much up, it's just gonna buffer and all of that. So that's all I did. So I was like, let me close some of these windows that I have open. So, but thanks for being patient. Every now and then that happens. So for people that are underinsured, right? That have been there 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, and they got insurance way back and didn't necessarily upgrade the insurance, and they may have 300,000 available to build a house. Because you said you talk to them, work within their budget or whatever. If that's their budget, knowing with the state of inflation, potential tariffs one day, not tariffs the next day, tariffs back the next week, right? Yeah. What could you do for someone, or how would you work with someone who is underinsured? Are you going to say, okay, I'll work directly with your insurance company, or say, well, we can't build a house for $300,000 because square footage is just going to cost you $600 a square foot? Because let me just tell you, we've heard 300 to 1,000 in Altadena. And we know that some people are gouging, and that's without the tariff threat. The average really is about 350 to 450 maybe is what it really should be. So that means that soft costs are one thing and markups are what the builder is going to take for themselves. And to me, that's taking advantage. If you make a profit at all, whether it's 50,000 or 100,000, whatever, you've made something. To me, your reputation and integrity is a little more important than just that profit. But how would you, if I came to you and I was like, Matt, I love that over the last 3 months, we've really developed a good relationship. You answer, I can't say about you answering phone calls, but I know you answer text because you stay on top of that with me this week to get on the show. Yeah. But you were very responsive, right? Via email or text. And I really like your services. I know you haven't asked me for a dime, but you put me in place with all of these people so I could get my survey done, so I could have the plans drawn up by the architect, and the structural engineer then came behind him and said, okay, this is ready to go for plan check, right? So I know that as soon as plan check is over and I get my permit, I need somebody to build the house. So since you've done all this for me and we've been working together 3 or 4 months, I think I want to go with level 42 construction to build. The only thing, Matt, like I told you a few months ago, is I don't have money. I have some savings for, about 15 years I'm going to retire. So I want to keep that. But I've got like 3 to 325, 100,000, not per square foot, but I have 300 to 325, maybe 350,000 max to rebuild my house. And I'm hearing it's going to cost me 1,000 a square foot, and my house is 1,700 square feet. And so I don't have that money. That would be, $1.7 million. How can you help me? If somebody came to you like that, well, how would you handle that scenario?
Yeah, so I think 2 things come to mind. As I mentioned to you before, I rebuilt a home for a woman whose house burned down last year. And she had, a limited budget due to insurance. So one of the things that insurance companies will do is they have allowances for things that they call like code upgrades or energy improvements, energy efficiency improvements. So I wrote an estimate that was sort of specific to what the insurance company was asking for to help my client get access to these additional funds. So we can help clients get access to that money by writing an estimate to rebuild their house. Usually our estimate is more than what the insurance company is going to estimate. I've actually been working with several different clients, and basically what I've been doing is I get a copy of their policy because they'll get an estimate from this adjuster, and I'll kind of go through it and I'll cherry pick those things that are more expensive than what I would have allotted. So usually, for example, they underestimate what your foundation is going to cost. They underestimate what the framing is going to cost. But interestingly, they'll put in like a $25,000 allowance to rebuild your masonry fireplace. Is it what you did have a masonry fireplace, and they are obligated to replace it? But a new fireplace is going to cost you like max 10 grand.
Okay. So you'll keep that estimate And use that 15 for something else, or
Yeah,
shift
exactly.
it and you move it around.
That estimate to replace your house, that's just for the insurance company.
Got it.
Then we'll write a separate estimate. That's to what it's actually going to cost to rebuild your house. And that's generally less because we don't account for those things. Also they'll also give you an estimate a lot of times to do interior plaster. So I can drywall your house for 20 grand, let's say. And interior plaster, they might have an allowance in there of $75,000, So there's ways that you can sort of get access to money by working with the insurance companies. And we're totally willing to do whatever it takes to help you get to that point.
So it's a game and you know how to play the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it that way, but at the end of the day, that's what it is, because they play games. Insurance companies, they don't want to pay people for what they've been paying for 40 years or whatever. So it's a game. And as long as you as a contractor, construction company, know how to play the game and how to maximize the amount that the homeowner would receive to rebuild, because all the people I've been dealing with and had on the show and all of this, I haven't heard yet. I know about the additional living expenses, but I never had a contractor tell me, oh, there's usually an additional allowance set aside that insurance definitely is not going to tell you as a homeowner about for certain things, right? So again, at 300,000, but that budget could be stretched because of those allowances that I don't know about as the insured, but you know about. You might be able to get $400 or $450 out of my insurance company, where my policy states it's only going to be $350, or or something like that, because you know how to ask, how to go back and forth with them, and have that experience and know what to look for. So you write the larger estimate for them because you know they have these provisions in place, and then you give me another estimate that's going to be less and what it will really cost to build, and get maximum money and leverage those things that you're aware of to pull all that cash from them to rebuild my house.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
And one of the things that, like I said, when the fire first happened, I called my client whose home burned down because I was curious. I didn't exactly remember how we did it in the beginning, but I asked her if she hired a adjuster.
Public adjuster.
Yeah, and whether that was something I could tell people whose homes burned, advise them to do. And she reminded me that no, her and I actually just worked it out with the insurance company. But she told me a story about hiring an adjuster who basically ran off with like $10,000 of her money. So
because they take at least 10%.
Yeah, so those guys are in it to make money too. So I don't know if they're a necessary component. I'm not giving any advice. This is just sort of a story that I'm telling. But if you're talking to an adjuster, you might want to sort of think about what their value is and whether or not this is something that a contractor and yourself can figure out.
Yeah.
That regarding sort of the overall budget, we have a bottom line in terms of what we need to build your house. And of course, we're sensitive to people whose homes burn, and we want to make it work, and we want to give you a fair deal. But ultimately, if it doesn't work out, like I said, our hope is that if you have a friend that needs their home built, you might say, hey, Level 42, they're great guys, didn't work out with us, but you might want to consider using them. And I don't mind. For me, this being in business is about building relationships, like I said. So, if I can be there for them to ask questions, there's no hard feelings. I've had people hire other people and call me and say, this guy's doing this or this guy's doing that, or what do you think about this or that? And
now I want to call you back for the advice. Is this contractor doing right or not? But they didn't use you.
Yeah. Look. It's
that's when I'd be like, you went with them, you're gonna get what you paid for, but don't be calling me to ask me, because if that's the case, why not go with you? They know that they've built a relationship, and obviously there's trust and integrity there, right? But then you choose to rock with somebody else. Like, go be with that somebody else then.
Yeah, there is some risk there. Usually, like I said, we offer, like, we're not the most expensive guys, and we're definitely not the cheapest guys. We're right in the middle. We're actually right where we should be.
Yeah.
Usually the guys that are like the cheap guys, they're kind of like all in one. They have their own staff does all the work, so they're jack of many trades, master of none sort of situation.
Some of them, yeah.
We hire subcontractors that are,
I think whether it's low end, medium, or high end, you're going to find that, right? You're going to find great communicators, people with great transparency, with integrity, people you can trust and refer your friends and family to. And then you're going to find those that are in it just to make a profit and will do shoddy work, will have you ready to sue them, or you may have to sue them, and may run off with your money, right? Which then you would have to sue and all of that. But that's why before bringing someone here, I do the vetting, right? I'll have the conversations. I will check their contractor's license number with CSLB. I'll look and see what their bond is, see if their insurance company, whatever, and make those calls and do that, so that I'm not bringing somebody on here that potentially the community may contact, and then it's a bad thing, right? We don't want that, because, Matt, we got a ton of people trying to buy the lots that are developers only. We got a ton of people trying to just scoop them up and gentrify, right? Build bigger houses to sell for a whole lot more or whatever. Even if it's not a huge developer, but individuals, investors. And most people in Altadena do not want to sell. They want to rebuild and come back. And yes, there's 108 lots, I believe, that have sold, and that's okay. There were 6,400, I believe, or around that, parcels or structures that burned down. And so if 100 of them sell, or even if 640 sell, that's only 10%, right? It's not a whole lot. But I get that people are like, don't sell. I would prefer people don't. But again, we say it here. We've said it a million times. I don't know somebody's situation. I have to show my neighbor grace, right? They may need to sell. They may be in their 90s, 80s, 60s, just retired, put everything into that. And what they have in retirement, they just are like, I can't afford to rebuild and live till my last days, whether they're 40 years from now, 30 years from now, 10 years from now. So if I sell this lot and get some plus what I have put away, I can move somewhere much less for cost of living, be in a condo or buy a small house and live comfortably, right? And so I understand that. And I'm like, yeah. But there are some people that are really mad. Like, why are they selling? They shouldn't sell. And I saw an article last week that there's several groups in Altadena now. And I guess they had some press conference and were like, they're demanding the governor give $200 million to rebuild Altadena so the lots aren't sold. And to me, that was kind of laughable, because the governor's office is not responsible for that. And they don't have a say in lots being sold or not. So I didn't think that made a whole lot of sense for them to get together and say the governor needs to give Altadena, out of everywhere else that has had fires and stuff, and my $200 million so that we can buy the lots so other people can't buy them. So what are your thoughts on that kind of stuff with people, needing to sell versus we want to keep, the land there? Obviously, we want the people that want to be there to be able to stay. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I completely understand people want to rebuild the neighborhood and they don't want people just come in and use this, just make a profit off of, like you said, gentrifying the neighborhood. However, I mean, I wouldn't personally advise wasting a whole lot of time and effort on that line of thinking. You've got a big challenge ahead of you. Building a house is a stressful circumstance in the best of situations. So now you have this trauma of losing everything, and now you're faced with this monumental challenge. So rather than waste all this energy on this negative thing, I would focus on, what you can do to get back in your home. My experience with most people right now is everyone's sort of paralyzed with fear. There's a lot of people that I'm talking to. They're all afraid to, honestly, like for me, it's difficult to get people to even get an estimate to get an architect from an architect, let alone hire an architect.
Okay.
I'm trying to, gently push people to sort of get going with the process, because it's a long process. My fear is that there's going to be a bottleneck, that everyone's going to wake up and decide that we got to get going on this thing. And then, then there's going to, the architects are going to be busy, the contractors are going to be busy, and everyone's going to, be sort of stuck. So
that's exactly why I did my event March 8th, because I know that was only 2 months from the date of, January 7th and 8th. But that was my thought too, Matt. Like, if people wait 4, 6, 8 months, that's when everybody will have had full time to kind of fully grieve and process.
Yeah. And
I think it's better to incorporate what you're going through as part of your process, right? Of your grieving, and you got to let go of things and move forward. Mind you, that's because I've had many years of therapy. So I get it, right? But my thought was,
I'm a part-time therapist too, by the way. As a contractor, you wear a lot of hats. I'm the marriage counselor, I'm the designer, I'm the builder, I'm the engineer. Yeah. I wear a lot of hats. Like I said, this is a stressful process, and we're gonna hold your hand through from A to Z. Like I said, had I not rebuilt a home for someone whose home burned down, I'd be less equipped to sort of understand this dynamic.
Yeah.
These people are all in a situation they didn't want to be in. They had no intention of building a house. They weren't saving like pictures on Pinterest and
exactly
getting ready for it. They've just been thrust into this position.
And for it to happen overnight. Yeah, like, okay, we've had to leave from fires before, but back in a couple hours. But to leave and then overnight a whole town basically is gone, right? And your neighbors and friends and family and lives were lost. And then Army Corps engineers is coming in, cleaning up your lot, right? And taking all what was left in dumpsters away. And so now you're also having to incorporate, I have to bring gas back to my house. That's an extra $8,000 or $9,000. I have to bring water lines back. I have to bring electrical lines back. Like, everything is gone. It's literally just dirt. Yeah. So, and even with that, there are holes in the earth, right? Yeah. Some people are finding old abandoned septic tanks and wells underneath where the Army Corps cleaned up. And so they're like, okay, now what do I do with this well? Do I have to fill that with cement as part of the process of, putting my slab down? What do I do? And then I got to bring in dirt to level it out because there's these craters in the earth now. So yes, that I can understand would be paralyzing, or make somebody, when they look at that lot that's been cleared, go, oh crap. Now what's next steps? Which is why, again, I did it back in March, because I was like, if people don't get started, yes, there's going to be absolute gridlock at the planning office, at the permitting office. And I know the county now is bringing in this permit czar that can kind of cut through some of that. And I believe once all of that end of the month or whatever gets started, we'll start seeing the permits roll out, right? A little bit better. But I talked to someone yesterday. There's still confusion, and I had to send him these. I sent him 5 documents on the like for like, on the 200. Remember what I talked about at the thing, the 10% or 200 square feet. Yeah. And people are still confused. But it's like, if your house is under 2,000 square feet, you have to go up 200 square feet, not just 10%. Because if you were at 1,500 and you add 10%, that's 150. Your house is going to feel like it shrank, because now with the ADA requirements of wider hallways, larger doorways, and bathrooms that have to be larger so somebody can get in comfortably in a wheelchair, fully turn around and come out. Mm-hmm. That's going to feel like your house shrank if you only do that 10%. That's why the county has said, no, you got to go up 200 square feet, right? And he didn't know that. He initially did it thinking about Prop 13, the 10% went up, and now he's right back down like for like the same square footage. And this is a friend of ours who had come on and was like, I'm going to opt out and do my own debris clearance. And then a few weeks later, he came back and was like, I opted back in because they've got to get permits. They've got to do all this. And so I called just to check on him. I was like, hey, E, how's your, everything going? And he said they submitted kind of to planning where planning looks and goes, oh, yeah, this should be okay. But that's not for full plan check with the permit. And I said, oh, so did you add the 200 square feet? And he was like, what are you talking about, T? And I explained it to him, and he was like, he was somewhere handling some paperwork. He said, let me call you back. So when he called back, I fully explained it to him, and he was like, oh, man, like, I didn't know that. And he said, I wonder if my architect knows. I said, your architect better know. I said, let me send you the documents from the county, because we had talked about them on the show. I said, they're dated like March 20th and some others. So I emailed him the 5 documents that had to do with the setbacks, and I said, was every house on your side of the street burned? He said, yes. I said, okay, then the first one back has to be at least 20% back. 20 feet back on that setback. And then everybody else has to be lined up. And he was like, oh, so little things that, sometimes people don't get all the information on, and the new changes, they could be submitting plans and shortchanging themselves, because I said, you do realize if you go with the exact square footage that you had before, because of the wider doorways, hallways, and all that, your house is going to feel smaller, like it shrank. And he was like, oh.
I actually learned that at the event. I heard about the 10% thing. I thought it was an optional thing until that event that we had. But then to learn it, there's a minimum 10% or minimum 200 square feet addition, or 10% if you're more than, what I think,
200 square feet, or 10% or 200 square feet, whichever is greater, if your house is under 2,000 square feet. Right, over 2,000 square feet is 10%. You learned that, I think, when I said it, right? After
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I wasn't aware of the 200 square foot minimum thing. So I'm learning things every day too.
Yeah.
People go along, I hear a lot of things and I get confirmation. So, I can talk about the things that I do know, and I'll be frank about the things that I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know, like you mentioned, that right now planning is being very accommodating. My father-in-law is an architect, and he told me that he submitted plans through planning, and they green lighted them like a day later.
Yeah.
Which is a huge departure from the past. Right. They would have normally sat on it for months before you even heard back from them. So I do know that the county is making a real effort to expedite things. So that is nice to hear. Building,
well, in the beginning they weren't. That's the funny part.
I haven't heard anything on building yet. I think they have the same intentions. Hopefully that process is also expedited. I wanted to say one more thing too, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of people, I think, are waiting for like lawsuit payouts, sort of factoring that into the plan. Having dealt with lawsuits in the past, I think it's safe to say, I wouldn't expect any money for like, at least, in my opinion, maybe a decade. These people you're fighting, they have a lot of money and a lot of power, and they're going to drag this thing out in court. I've had little court cases get dragged out for a decade. So I can only imagine what a class action lawsuit against, Edison is going to end up being, So I would maybe advise to view that money as like a bonus on the back end,
So I have some thoughts about that too, only because I'm sitting in meetings all the time or on Zoom calls or whatever, and with some attorneys. So in one that I had maybe a month ago after the fires or some, I don't know, Department of Angels, somebody, I think you're right. People shouldn't bank on that money. However, these are not class actions. These are individual torts, or the majority of them are individual torts. If you go and don't go to an attorney and say, I want to join a class action, because a class action is not it for something like this. So that's number one, get an attorney and do an individual lawsuit.
Yeah.
However, I was just told maybe a month ago, it was a Zoom call I was on, and they said, can we be honest? I said, yeah. They said, go directly to Edison and file a claim, because the claims are going to get paid out. Because now that they've said we were at fault, this tower that should have been dismantled and taken down 51 years ago was not. And that's the tower that arced and started the fire. So they just dismantled it with helicopters and all that like a week and a half ago, right? and got it out of there. They fully know that they're at fault. I think if Edison tries to play the stupid game of, oh, we're not going to pay or we're going to drag this out, when you have clearly said you're at fault and now remove this tower that should have been decommissioned and removed 51 years ago, would be asinine. But pay it out. If somebody's house was worth $1 million, pay it out, because you know you were at fault, right? That's my hope, is that for everybody. And granted, that might be 600 million or whatever it is, 6 billion. You're going to pay it anyway. Stop trying to be silly and fight. You know it was your fault. You've clearly already said it. You've now removed the tower. Everybody knows, right? So to me, it would be better for them to just go on and settle each of these individual lawsuits by saying, what was the value of your home? Not that that is going to make anyone feel better, because it's not. Not only did they lose their home, they lost everything. And you've probably heard me say, my parents, 57 years. They can't replace stuff that they had for 57 years. They traveled the globe. They had things from Spain, from China, from Africa. They can't replace that stuff that was inside the house, right? But if the value of that house was $2 million, Edison paid him the $2 million, period, right? Whoever else, just pay it out. So, but on this call a few weeks ago, someone said it would be better for a lot of people not to file the torts, because this was after the fires call, because in Sonoma County, people that filed claims got paid within 2 years. There's people 6 years later that have individual lawsuits that still haven't been paid, because like you said, Edison, that PG&E, whoever, is going to try to fight it, right? Yeah. And say, well, can you prove it was our fault? All this shenanigans. So I think people have to weigh their situation. If it's somebody that's been there 10 or 15 years and they're in their 50s, maybe they can afford to wait 6 years or a decade. Somebody in their 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe not. And talk to the and see what's going to be best, to submit a claim or file a lawsuit.
Yeah, I mean, look, my hope too would be that they get paid out as soon as possible. I would just, if you are planning on rebuilding your house, I would just work on getting the plans going in parallel with whatever that legal situation is. Because,
but you're right, don't bank on that settlement to rebuild the house.
Yeah, who knows how long that's going to take, and best case scenario, or one nice scenario would be that you have everything ready to go, and then you get a payout, and it's like it's a bonus, and you're all set, ready to go.
Yeah. I want to look at comments and see if there's any, although Jamal and them, if there were, would have them up in a heartbeat if there were any questions. Does anyone who's watching have any questions for Matt? I know we had the one from Marcus saying, and I know Jamal and then we'll pop on, but this one just from Marcus Betts saying, thanks for the transparency and desire to help Altadenians. And I think, Matt, that's so true, because you've been transparent. You said not only about this lawsuit thing, but you're saying, look, come to us. We'll help you as much as we can. Even if at a risk to ourselves, you don't go with us, right? But what you know, what you don't know, or you're newly learning, because things are changing every day. You'll find out, right? You'll go to the county or whoever you need to. You'll get the information and come back to somebody so that you can help them. And that is huge, because that just shows your heart, right, for people in the community.
Yeah, that means a lot. And I'm extremely grateful to be in this position. I put a lot of goodwill out in the world. At least I tried to over the last 20 years. And when this whole thing happened, I just had this thought, like, man, the worst thing that happened to someone whose home burned would be if some schmo ran off with their money or didn't build the house, correctly, or, and they end up in a situation like that. So, the fire happened, and we were at the shelter the following weekend, cooking food for people at the shelter in Pasadena.
Nice.
Like, we really wanted to get out there and be part of the recovery effort in a genuine way, and really try to avoid the sort of perception that we're trying to, it's at all predatory. So we wanted to really do it this is kind of our general modus operandi, but we just wanted like no strings attached, you know.
So what kind of food were you cooking, Matt?
Actually, I got grass-fed beef patties and brioche buns, and we were cooking hamburgers.
Nice. Okay, so I got some things that I'm getting ready to be doing. We at Altadena Talks want to have a couple different days. We want to have one for youth. I want them separate. Brian kind of wants them together. We'll figure that out. But we want to have something for youth because the children that have been impacted from little to high school that just had prom a couple weeks ago, that are graduating in a couple weeks, whose homes were either totally burned down, some lost their home and their school. So our kiddos have really been impacted, right? And we know at our age, we can adjust more because we've lived life and we've had some ups and downs. But for them, this, other than the pandemic, which was a big down, you know, and a roller coaster, now they've had this and they're probably like, what the heck is life really about? Like this kind of stuff, you know, losing everything and the pandemic and people dying then and now. And so we want to have something for them, play date or something they can do. So might want to partner with y'all to come cook again. And we want to do something for the elderly as well. So that, and there are lots of luncheons and things for them, but would love to partner with you on something.
I'd be happy to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah. Or even if it's something you all do and we go live and we're, you know, part of it with you. Yeah, we'd love to partner and see what we can do and bring you in. Because if you chef it up and get some grass-fed beef for folks, that's really awesome.
Yeah. I didn't want to feed people something I wouldn't eat myself. You know, and I was terrified that nobody was going to show up. You know, I went to the shelter and I talked to the people that were working there and I said, hey, if I came here and made food for people, is that something people would like? You know, and he goes, yeah, absolutely. And I said, he goes, but you have to set up across the street because we're not allowed to let anybody do it.
Right.
And I was like, well, if I come, are they going to kick me out? And they go, look, they're not going to kick you out. You're here to cook food for people who lost their homes, you know?
Right.
And to my surprise, yeah, it was a hit. A lot of people were there and they were very grateful. And I got to talk to some people about, you know, what they've experienced and stuff. And we didn't overtly push the company. We had our banner up and I had our cards out, but
yeah,
I handed out hamburgers, again, no strings attached. People could ask me questions or not, but yeah, it was a very rewarding experience, I would say.
Yeah, it is, right? I mean, that's the give back and that's your humanity and your compassion that you have for, and because you grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, right? Not necessarily in Altadena, but you and I have talked about this. And then where you and I both live now, still San Gabriel Valley, because we need to see these mountains and, and right there, you know, near 210. And you and I are basically next door neighbors city wise, but it's so important to constantly think about giving back and seeing what we can do for the community. So yeah, we do have some things we're going to be planning and would love to have you partner with us on some things and bring your company in, because that's another thing that when we did the town hall for the builders back on March 8th, we didn't bring anyone in that was forceful, right? Some person showed up that morning saying he drove down from Vegas because he does firescaping and was told by someone who was only going to attend that he was on program. And I let him know, no, he wasn't, but I gave him a couple minutes to talk about his product. But I didn't like that, right? Because number one, you show up talking about, oh, I'm here to talk today, No, you're not, because this is my event and I didn't invite you. So you and I have talked, you were invited on here. We partner on something in the future. It's because we have developed what we talked about earlier, right? Doing some type of relationship or beginning to have one and bringing in people that care about the community, not just, hey, I'm here, this is my product, go with me, or a contractor that might not be good for the community and might wind up, you know, having some bad blood later or left with people's money or didn't do right. So you would not be on the show today if that was the case, if I felt the way about you.
I wanted to mention something too about fireproof building, just because something reminded me of that. A lot of people are worried about building a house that's less prone to burning being like a burden to them burden on the budget.
Right? Okay.
Fortunately, just modern building code it's mandatory that you build something, especially in a high fire area.
Yep.
That's less prone to building. We were talking before, that's like stucco exterior, stucco eaves. If you can afford it, a metal roof is it's very expensive. That's a real luxury item. But that kind of like, when this fire kicked off, we built a house in Pacific Palisades that was like at ground zero. I was getting like videos from my guys at the job site of fire just everywhere, and the house on both sides of our project burned down, and our house remained because it had the concrete siding, it had the metal roof, it had a brick exterior, so it had everything it needed to withstand a fire. But most of those things that I'm talking about are just already baked into the budget.
That's right.
Things that people have to pay for additionally. Even the fire sprinklers, a lot of contractors will say like, oh, this is a very expensive thing that you have to account for. But if you're building, a 2,000 square foot house, it might be, $7,000 max, I would say.
That's good. Because we have heard the 20,000 and all that. So if it's not that, that's really good to hear.
No, 20,000, would be if you're building a 15,000 square foot house or something like that. But they're actually very reasonably priced, and we are now getting some experience. I have a house in Brentwood that I'm building that's going to have the roof sprinkler system on it.
Good.
So like you mentioned, on the base, they had the roof sprinklers and not the interior sprinklers. So you'll be happy to know that residential interior sprinklers are aesthetically pleasing. They're recessed into the ceiling. There's a little flat white disc that's not ugly.
Good.
Doesn't mess up the whole aesthetic, so that's cool. But fire sprinklers in the house are just designed to save your life. They're not designed to save the house.
The house, right? So
adding an additional fire sprinkler system on the roof, again, it's not that expensive, and more we're sort of learning about how to implement those things. So that's kind of like going above and beyond. But just at a base level, you're going to be in much better shape. Unfortunately, Pasadena was a tinderbox waiting to go. I mean, there's a bunch
it was nothing but timber. Exactly.
There was
all the houses were
vents, and it was just unfortunately, and a lot of things weren't like maintained, so you're going to want to build something that's built with fireproof materials, low maintenance,
well, you know what, like we were saying right in the green room or right before we started the show, the reason Matt said that is because I said I wouldn't want to rebuild and have fire sprinklers inside because they're hanging down from the ceiling and ugly. If they don't start making them hidden like a recessed light and aesthetically pleasing, I wouldn't want that in my house. I would prefer having the exterior fire sprinklers that are on the outside on the roof, because that's what, when I lived in Japan, that's what there were, right? And I've seen those in action, because then they're going to help put the fire out. By the time a fire gets inside the house, an interior fire sprinkler system is not going to help put the fire out, like what people, are imagining. So I would hope that the county, if somebody has it within their budget and wants to put the exterior ones on the roof, that the county says, okay, yeah. But yes, we can't have timber boxes anymore where eaves are open and fire or embers can be swept up. Have you thought about or had anybody that has come to you and said, well, I don't want a timber box, so I want steel studs. I don't want wooden studs. And are you utilizing steel studs to build houses?
Really, we're not. And it's not that we can't. It's that it's just not standard in residential.
Okay.
But
some I know are. Some people definitely are.
Yeah, I don't think that it's necessary, because, the idea is to prevent the fire from getting beyond the stucco or into the interior of the house. If it's penetrated the stucco, you might have a bigger problem on your hands. But usually when a home is built, the structural components, like the beams and posts and stuff, are either need to be heavy timber to support the house. So if you were to do steel stud, it'd be a mixture probably of some wood with steel walls. I'm not opposed to that, and we could explore what that looks like from a budget perspective. But if you were to do it all metal, that would be steel beams and posts and steel stud. That would definitely be more expensive.
More expensive than traditional
Yeah,
wood.
but I think the goal, rather than focus on the wall itself, would be to make sure that the exterior,
the fire escaping is proper.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Jamal, I know you put headphones on. Were you going to come on and ask a question? Or, you know what? We do have a question. What are the costs per square foot nowadays? Yeah, that.
Yeah. So people ask me this all the time. So I would say on the low end, it's like $350. $350, $400 is what I'm telling people right now. That's the cost to rebuild the house itself. That doesn't include like landscaping and stuff like that. Kind of, it's really kind of hard to say exactly where that lands, but I can speak to the cost of building a house itself. If you plan
that for the house would include all the finishings, right? All the doors, all the floors, all the windows, all the light fixtures, not extra upgrades per se, but all the basics to have a home again.
Yeah, okay. That's right.
Okay.
So,
hi,
hello. I don't like myself being that close. I don't want to scare people. One of the things that I actually did is I brought up your website, and I appreciated your discussion with Toni about your process and how initially you kind of go through just a consultation, no fee or what have you, and you're just trying to share some basic info with folks. In this process of consultation, design, construction, completion, where does the contract get drawn up, or the agreement, and what's your basic cost? We've had a few builders come on and share what that initial kind of money exchange is. And I'm just curious what it would be for you and when it happens.
So most of the people that I'm talking to in Altadena, I think that you should be paying somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 for your architect, your engineer, and Title 24 and civil drawings. And the survey. And the reason I say that is because architects will give you the option of a more elaborate set of drawings. Where they'll pick the tile, they'll help you pick the paint colors, they'll design the cabinetry. All that stuff is things that we do for our clients free of charge. And that's more of a design service. An architect will generally charge like another, maybe even $20,000 to do work like that. So we just need a floor plan, the elevations of what the house looks like, the structural, and a site plan in order to build a house. Of course, if you have the money and you want to pay a designer to completely detail the interior elevations and pick all the materials, of course, I would encourage you to do that if you have the budget for it. But it's certainly not necessary. Most of the people I'm talking to in Altadena are on a tight budget. Yeah. So I don't want them spending $50,000 with an architect. That just gives them less money to put into the house itself. Most of the projects that you see on our website, we worked directly with the homeowner to design it. Yep. And we have a lot of experience doing that. And there's no level 42 style. I like to take what little you know about architectural design and expand on that in a tasteful way that has longevity.
So you don't have any pre-designed home plans that you kind of share with folks and they can maybe tweak it? What if someone didn't have any ideas what they wanted to do, short of, even beyond a like for like?
Yeah. So the process it goes like this, because a lot of people are sort of fixated on what they had before. And you as a homeowner, I see this all the time. People are fixated on what they have, and they really think like, like, well, if I were just to move this wall from here to there, or this thing from here to there, then that'll improve the floor plan. What's nice is when you bring someone in from the outside, they get to look at it from a fresh perspective. And now that you're building a house from the ground up, the process is as follows. You're just going to tell the architect, listen, I want 3 bedrooms. I want a formal dining room. I want an open floor plan. I want a mud room, or whatever it might be. You give them the list, and then they're going to draw a plan specific to your needs and then present that to you. Once you have that floor plan in front of you, that's a place to start. Then you can decide, I like this, I don't like that. Let's make these changes. I have been hearing a lot about these sort of pre-made plans, but I really sort of struggle to see the value in some of them. Some of them I feel like, because no matter what, you need an architect to place the house on the lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's specific to your lot only, has to meet the setbacks. So, you know, some of these people have like these sort of kind of hidden fees that are in the background. So once you pay for like the pre-made plan, then you take it to an architect and engineer to sort of create working drawing. You're kind of, in my opinion, going to be at that $20,000, $30,000 threshold anyway.
Right.
So you might as well just have a plan that's unique to your particular needs and your particular lot, the topography, the size of the lot, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's why I think customizing, right? Having a custom built home, what you want. And I do think that because Altadena was so old and there's such a large population of residents that have been there a long time, right? 57% are over the age of 60. I think that it's hard for them to think about a newer, modern looking home. And they think I have to have exactly what I had. But with the new regulations and the fact that they've got to build back 200 square feet because of the wider hallways, all that, they're not going to have exactly what they had. And if they think they want the facade, you know, to be a replica of what they had before, that's fine. The bones inside and the new, you know, layout and the new square footage, do that. And if you want part of it, an ode to the past, that's fine. You have pictures of your old house, send it to them and let your architect bake some of that into your plans or whatever, or your designers. And then the architect, structural engineer signs off on them, goes to planning, plan check, good, goes to permitting, get the permit, boom, you can start, right? But I think that is part of what you were saying, Matt. You're seeing that some people feel paralyzed, right? Because they may be older and they want their old house back, and they're never going to get their old house back. And that's the reality of it.
At the end of the day, it's going to be what they want it to be. You know, it's going to look the way they want it to look. You know, we're just going to improve on what they had before. We don't want to force anybody to make it look modern. You know, we can pick any aesthetic that you want. Everything's going to be done with your approval. You know, so I wouldn't. You know, I get that it's, you know, going outside and you make a good point, because a lot of people that I've met with, they bring their old plan, and they're just like, okay, here's what we had, and
well, they don't know, right?
And I had a lady goes, okay, I had this little galley kitchen over here, and then I had this, and I was like, yeah, but don't you want an island?
Right.
Said, yeah, I would like an island. I said, okay. So let's find a way to give you, let's find a way to give you the island and give you all the things you need, and, you know, move ahead but honor the history and the aesthetic and really sort of make it unique to you.
Yeah, that's good. Brian, is he in the background? Maybe or maybe not. Oh, there he is. He popped in. Any questions from you? I think we're close to wrapping up pretty soon, but any questions from you? You're on mute. You're talking like this?
I hate when I start talking and I'm all into it and I find out I'm on mute. Oh, the horror. No, I just want to say you answered a lot of questions that our audience has been asking for the last 89 episodes. And they haven't really been getting a lot of the answers because it was in the early stages. So nobody knew, toxic phase 1, debris phase 2, and until it started happening. But now we're at this phase, and you're answering the questions that everybody keeps asking. I mean, even at the park when I was up there talking to a few people, we don't know what we're going to do. And I was like, hey, go to our show and type in builders, and you'll see all the episodes that we had builders on.
Yep.
So there we go. So
yeah, we're anybody can reach out to us at any time, and we're happy to answer whatever questions. There's a lot. I mean, the one thing I've learned, being in this situation in the past, is there are a ton of questions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And of all sorts, and no question is too insignificant. You're not bothering me. You're not bothering us. We're willing to take the time to to give you the information that you need to make an informed decision about what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
And what's the best way to reach you? Level42construction.com, or is there a specific number or email?
I'm going to give you my cell number.
Oh, okay. I have it, but you want to give that out so people can call you on that?
Yeah. It's 818-720-5163, or they can contact my office. Our number's on the website, level42constructiononline.com. I think that's it. Look us up. Just search Level 42 on Google.
Level42construction.com.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, info@level42construction.com.
Yeah, if you email us or you call my office, they'll put you in contact with me or my partner Fadi, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. No strings attached, like I mentioned.
I think that's who it was, Fozzie, that was like, "How long have you been a builder?" I was like, "I'm not a builder." He was like, "But you know so much."
Yeah, well, he was like, "You're obviously very knowledgeable." So we're all impressed with how much you knew. I learned something that day. I'm always learning stuff, I don't know it all, but
our lives have changed in the last 4 months.
We'll say I'm zero fun at parties for sure. But if you want to talk about
construction,
I could do it all.
That's right. Well, I hope this platform has given folks some exposure to Level 42 and what you're able to do for them, especially at the very beginning. As we had talked about earlier, a lot of people are very hesitant. They're still shell shocked to what happened. They're just barely getting through the debris removal phase and moving forward to, the rebuilding phase, right? So hopefully they take advantage of your expertise and ultimately go all the way through the whole process with you. I hope you get a lot of folks, because it sounds like you do a good job. You had mentioned the testimonial you had from the person whose home you built that had burnt down before. So you do have that expertise. So again, hope this platform is good for you, because we appreciated having you on.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be on once again, and I look forward to earning the public's trust. It's something you need to earn. It's not a given. So I'm willing to put in the work that it takes.
Awesome.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Well, anything else? I don't think any other questions have come in. We did put up the couple comments and the question that came in. B, I know you just had a comment. Thank you, Matt, for agreeing that Saturday to contact me and come on the show. Super important. And I think that a lot of people that are watching or will watch, because some don't watch when we're live, but will watch later, will contact you as needed. There's so much work that has to be done. So, we're not opposed to anyone or have preference for anyone per se. We want to give this space to everyone that is going to be open and honest with people, especially coming in the community. And though you didn't grow up in Altadena, you did grow up in San Gabriel Valley, and you started your career building in Kinaloa, which is Altadena. So thank you. And you're still doing things in Pasadena. So thank you again for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. We are going to transition to some announcements. You are free to sit on if you want. It's going to take Jamal 5 or so minutes to do that probably. If not, and you need to drop, you can also do that. You let us know.
I'm going to dip out, but
okay, cool.
I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be on this podcast, and it's a pleasure speaking with you all. And
thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Hope to see you soon, man.
See you soon. And I will be contacting you for some collaborative things, even.
All right, I'm ready.
Come cook some beef, some grass-fed beef burgers with brioche buns. I will even eat one, and I stay away from beef, but I might even eat one.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
Take
care.
I'm going to jump into the announcements now. Let me take this banner off. There we go. All right, folks, that was a good episode. Let's jump into the announcements. As usual, just want to talk about the disaster recovery centers. Monday through Friday, they're open from 9 to 6, and Saturday from 9 to 4. As a reminder, it's at 540 West Woodbury Road in Altadena, and they have the assessor's office, mental health, public works, and members of the registrar, recorder, and county clerk departments that are attending. I also want to talk about the One-Stop Permit Center. This is at 464 West Woodbury Road, Suite 210 in Altadena. They have walk-in hours that are only Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30. However, you can actually set up appointments for the permit center Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 to 12:30 p.m. or Saturdays at 8 a.m. to noon. Or you can set up an appointment with the Southern California Edison Planner. That's only Mondays and Wednesdays from 8 to noon. To set up an appointment, you go to the website below, which is recovery.lakecountry.gov/rebuilding-1-stop-permit-centers. And then a reminder of these upcoming deadlines. June 1st, you have to have the fire debris removal permit and hire a licensed contractor, or have your property be declared potentially a public nuisance. Also on the 30th of June is when you should have your debris completely removed. Again, if this is not completed by this date, your property may be declared a public nuisance and may require the county to take care and remove the debris at the owner's cost. And if you don't pay this, they may actually put a lien on your property to recover those funds. So avoid all that and just take heed to these guidelines or these deadlines. Students of Pepperdine Caruso School of Law are available for legal aid. These services are being provided on a pro bono basis. Their aim is to support individuals and families navigating the complex legal challenges resulting from the disaster. Survivors can receive help with a wide range of legal issues, including appealing FEMA denials, working with insurance providers to maximize policy benefits, and help with legal needs of renters. All the services are confidential and offered at no cost. Survivors can complete the legal assistance request form below at bit.ly/Pepperdine Clinic Form, or they can contact Pepperdine Caruso School of Law to schedule a one-on-one appointment directly. As we like to say, we out here. You gonna pop in? Maybe not. He's going to scream in a minute. But Miss Juicy Little has We Out here every Wednesday at Fair Oaks Burgers from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. You do have to bring proof of your Altadena residency to participate. But they're going to have items such as fresh fruits and veggies, shelf-stable goods, shoes and clothes, hygiene products, legal advice, resource booths, and much more. And this is at Fair Oaks Burger, which is at 2560 North Fair Oaks Avenue in Altadena. And they also do need folks who would like to donate They need gift cards, water, Ziploc bags, storage containers, and the like. And if you're wanting to donate, sponsor, or partner, contact Miss Juicy Little at Miss at missjuicylittle@gmail.com. Also, we have every Wednesday the senior luncheon from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at First AME Church. This is at 1700 North Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. To RSVP, you want to send an email to msz_strong@yahoo.com, or you can call 626-673-2200. And then the Eaton Health Village is offering free medical and mental health clinics every Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. You can walk in or come by to schedule an appointment. These are going to be primarily, it's going to be for medical consultations, medication refills, mental health services, and case management. But secondarily, on a monthly basis, and we'll get that specific detail, they have vision and dental assistance as well. This is at Pasadena Seventh-day Adventist Church at 1280 East Washington Boulevard in Pasadena. And there will be a virtual webinar, the wildfire debris cleanup for all commercial property owners. This is actually going to be available Thursday, May 22nd from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And you can RSVP by going to bit.ly/LA wildfire recovery. Got about 4 more. So the Rhythms of the Village and LA Commons presents a celebration of spirit of Altadena and the power of art, culture, and unity. Come and expect incredible music, mouthwatering food, captivating art, and the best community vibes. This is called the Village Spring Festival, and it's going to be Saturday, May 24th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's located at John Muir High School at 1905 Lincoln Ave in Pasadena. This should be a nice event. Then Pasadena is going to have the 29th annual Family Fun Day. It's also Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is at La Pintoresca Park at 45 East Washington. There's going to be arts and crafts, the Tiny Tot area, bubble zone, free food, bingo, skateboarding expo, and much more. If you want more information, you can contact 626-744-8052. Pasadena is also having a Memorial Day commemoration. This is going to be on Monday, May 26th, actually on Memorial Day at 10:30 at Memorial Park, which is located at 85 East Holly Street in Pasadena. And then you saw this yesterday on our show. We have a Friends and Neighbors an event for, so come and enjoy a community mixer at Calaveras. It's a meet and greet and a mix and mingle. It's going to be resources, guests, community information, and is supporting those impacted by the Eaton fire. It's going to be located at Calaveras, which is at 187 North Sierra Madre Boulevard in Pasadena. It's going to be next Saturday, May 31st at 4 p.m. This is actually DJ A Raleigh House production. And after this event, there will be music by the Afterburner DJ sets. And that's it for the flyers and announcements for today. Bring everybody back on. B is out and about. He'll be back on because I know he's looking at it on his phone. That was a good interview.
So there is one more quick announcement. I forgot to give it to you until you were announcing it. I just put it in WhatsApp. But on May 28th at 6:30 p.m., Victory Bible Church is having a reverse panel. We can actually put the flyer up tomorrow, and there's a registration link. The event is free, but it's to register. So what Pastor John decided was, as we keep hearing from people in the community, people want to hear directly or be able to speak directly to those in charge. So the reverse panel will be, instead of people on the panel up here, they're going to sit in the audience area, and people that have questions will be up on the stage and get to ask those in charge.
Nice.
Right? Officials, put it like that, the questions that they have not gotten answers to yet. So thank you for bringing that up. But that is on the 28th of May. It is at 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Victory Bible Church, 1497 North Hill Avenue in Pasadena. We are just above Washington if you're driving north on Hill, it's going to be on the left-hand side at Howard. But come out because the panel discussion will be for agencies, nonprofits, city partners to hear specifically from Eaton Fire survivors that still don't feel, I think, settled or like their questions are being answered or whatever. My hope and prayer is that it doesn't become combative and that a lot of people that are the protesters will, come and be like, well, what about this? What about that? I know it won't because Pastor John's not going to put up with that. But if you have questions when you register, you can submit your questions. Not to say those will be the only ones that are asked because they may allow, I'm sure they'll allow people that are there to ask questions. But just know that we hear you, we see you. Victory Bible Church hears and sees you. I kind of always say we like because I go there. So I'm going to represent them. But Pastor John, Pastor Angel, absolutely hear and see the community. And this is an event for the community to come out and be part of the reverse panel. So that will be on what day? May 28th.
Wednesday, May 28th, 6:30 to 8:30.
To 8:30 p.m.
Yep.
So there is
That's
a link.
going to be cool. That's a unique concept. I like that.
Yeah, there's a link that we'll put up as well that I did put in the WhatsApp chat as well. But because we do want you to register. The only reason Victory asked for registrations is so that if you show up and we decide at 6:30 p.m. to have, snacks, waters, hors d'oeuvres, whatever, we need to know how many to have. It's not dinner. So I didn't say that. So don't nobody quote me and say, oh, Toni said it was going to be dinner here, because it is not. But if we have any of those things, we'll know like how many people. If we are providing a booklet or paper or pens or anything like that, we want to have a gist of an idea of how many are coming. Just like when we had the town hall, we had people go on Eventbrite and register, even though registration was free. This would take you directly to the VBC link to register, and you just register there. But please come out, participate, get your questions answered or asked at least from the agencies, nonprofits, and city partners who hopefully will be able to give you some of those answers.
Very cool.
So thanks for pulling it up that quick. I forgot about it. Meant to mention it yesterday and put that. And just when you were going through, I was like, oh, let me get that up. So that can be part of them until, that day. But yeah, that's it from me. B, welcome back. You're on mute, by the way, in case you want to start speaking.
The face, though, you're still on mute.
Right.
Oh,
okay. There it is.
Man, I'll be talking and forget that song.
But you weren't. This time, all you did was a smile. That's why I said it quick before you start talking. So, and look, y'all, I'm in. What is this? Leopard something print today. I'm
everything.
Never say
my
never.
glasses and my sundress. Hey. Anywho, thank you all. It was a good show. Thanks for doing all you all do in the background.
Really good show.
Your comments or your questions for the really good show.
Mm-hmm.
We have this new feature that as people comment, it pops up in the bottom right hand corner.
I'm seeing.
Right. Which I
so
love.
People comment away, because that saves us from popping it up there.
Yep. Get it show live when we're doing it.
Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, they finally got the hint and did what YouTube was doing all along.
And some other platforms.
Right.
And you guys, I know I mentioned it yesterday, and Marcus, I apologize. I kept thinking about, I don't know which cousins, brothers, all that, Jason, but meant to say Marcus Betts. But please go take a look at 5 Star Power magazine. The bets were featured in it. I spoke about it yesterday, and read through tears that love letter to the legacy homeowners from Ashley Cobb yesterday, Ashley Lynn. And look at our show from yesterday. I couldn't think, you guys. I had a little brain freeze. But look at our show from yesterday, episode 80. What were we yesterday? 9?
89.
Oh, yeah, 90 today. So episode 89
number.
on YouTube. And Marcus, you were featured in it.
Do you have that link you can send to me and I can pop it up there real quick?
Yep.
I was trying to look for it in WhatsApp, but I didn't see.
And we are going to have the editors, founders of 5 Star Magazine come on the show, either Naila or Romaine Jones, one of them. I'm working that out over the next couple of weeks. I did get an email when the show was going on from Brooks that they're working on hopefully Tuesday or Thursday next week for Colonel Avichal, the one who is over all of the debris for here in Palisades with the Army Corps. So spoke with them up at the Loma Alta Park reopening on Saturday. And I thought it was going to be Captain, what was his name, Brian? Captain I say Captain.
We have to wait for him to
like
tell us.
PATZSU something. Anyway, I called him Captain P. So I text Brooks like, hey, thanks for, give me the information Saturday. Want to get Captain P on the show. And he was like, well, we'd really rather have the Colonel come on your show. I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Cause that's the big man. He's the one that really has all the answers. Right. So they emailed me a little while ago saying they're working on it now. So either Tuesday or Thursday next week, we'll have them on. I'll get that information so we can promote that before the show. But 5 Star Power, take a look at the 9th edition, which is out now at that link. Starts
on page 25, Marcus.
That's what
yours is.
Yeah, this is his show, Class of 90. Hey, Marcus. But the bets were featured on page 25. And then there's lots of other Altadenians that are in there. This was dedicated to the fires or fire survivors. So really, really good information. Great stories that have been told. And each of them, I believe, there is a QR code so that you can, if you want to donate to any of their GoFundMes or whatever, that QR code is at each story. So take a look at that magazine, subscribe to it so that you get all the emails. And when it's out, you're able to take a look at them. Really, really good. Really, really good magazine. But that's it from me. I guess it's toodles from my end. Busy Bee having a rough day?
With the mute button.
Yeah, I always forget. I never look. You know what it is because people walk in here and they're talking. I don't want their conversations to end up on the show. And then when I get ready to speak, I forget it's on. So sometimes I don't need to be heard.
Got you.
And we don't have to pop them up anymore, and that they'll run and just be there. I love it because then everybody can just see it. Super dope.
Right.
I saw that feature when I logged in today, and I looked at it, I was like,
They need to make it a little bigger because I'm looking at it on my phone, and you can only see the comments. You can't read squat.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was popping up the last few comments.
Well, I wonder if it has to do with the layout of us, too, though.
No, I don't think so because it does the same thing.
What if we're all on one? Oh, yeah, it's just in that same location.
It's just right there, yeah.
Okay.
So if we're not in this one with 3, somebody's gonna
cover someone. Yeah.
Yeah, Jamal's on you now, buddy.
So is there a thing that, like, if we're all on one side, like when we have a picture,
it still won't. When we had that, when he was running the announcements, they popped up in the same spot.
Okay, that's cool.
I just want them to be a little bigger, like they could fill up that whole little square right there. They could be readable.
That's true. Oh well.
But hey, we're gonna take the features as they come. I mean, shoot, we're the longest running podcast in the world, in the universe.
Marcus, the link is already in. If you scroll up, oh no, wait. He did Victory Bible. I don't did you put the magazine link in, Jamal?
No, I put it in the
the private chat.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Oh yeah, because it is a bit link already.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bitly skittly.
I texted it to you also, Marcus.
Yeah, that'd be easier to comprehend because that 35C4ZRB is weird. I hate those.
Oh well.
But you can click on it from YouTube, so it's kind of cool.
Look at our show looking all busy. Got all kinds of things popping up and stuff.
You're welcome.
90. Guess what? 2 more weeks. We'll be starting season 3. So we're going to need a new song.
I got plenty of them.
We're going to need.
I got to take the vocals out.
We're going to have to do a nice fat intro.
We need our album.
We need. I'm going to have to make Toni some more movables. That's my favorite one, though. Here we go.
This goes.
Hey, girl, how you doing?
And it's funny because she literally looks like a combination of me and one of my cousins on my dad's side.
Oh, really?
Like, in the beginning, she looks like me, but then when she's doing like this, she looks kind of like Janaea, one of my cousins that lives in Compton. So it's funny because I was like, that don't really look like me, but part of it looks like me, part of it looks like my cousin. Right. So pretty funny. Because I don't never do that.
You'll never see me getting flirtations on the podcast.
No, I didn't say I never give flirtations. I said I never do
on the podcast. On the podcast.
Right. All right, fellas. Well, great show. Thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for all those that were here.
Yes. Thank you for showing up. Episode 90. 91 coming at you.
We're going to use this as our backdrop one day.
Uh-oh.
I'll show it to
What's
you.
it going to be?
Y'all seen it. You guys seen it already. It's this one right here. Let me take it.
What is that? Oh, that's the 3.
That's what we're going to put on the banner, but we didn't get it made in time for the Ashes to Anthems.
Yeah.
Yeah, the QR code. We were going to do like a little raffle.
Yeah.
The more signups we got for volunteers, the more you could win the $100 Amazon.
Does that say we out here? I'm just joking.
We out here. I was doing something
right over where you are. Is that what that says? We out
here. Where?
Oh no, it says welcome. Okay.
Oh yeah, it does kind of look like that, huh?
I was like, wait, what does it say? Back. We out here.
We look all serious. Well, I do. Y'all both smile.
You do.
Like,
Jamal kind of does.
I'm tired.
I'm just like.
Look, and it's funny because I look like the most serious one on the show, and I am not.
The goofiest by far.
Exactly.
That's the most non-serious by far. I'm middle of the road, and Jamal is
the actual opposite of his picture.
Hey, I got crazy in me, but you know,
he
don't always come out, man.
Let's see. Because Brian does.
You took yourself out.
All right. Well, have a great day, everyone.
Junoy.
Get outside because it's going to be like 87 today.
I'm going to have Mediterranean at Abu Kebab today.
You're having what?
Abu Kebab.
Mediterranean at Abu Kebab.
Abu Kebab. I'm about to go and
Abu Kebab.
Prime my my propane tank because I'm firing up the Blackstone today. I'm doing Taco Tuesday.
Oh shit!
I'm doing Taco Tuesday
I put together a fire pit in the backyard.
Celebrating somebody got their masters on Saturday.
Oh,
so we're doing Taco Tuesday later. So I'm gonna put all the meat. I went to Cardenas last night and got the marinated
asada and chicken.
And pollo.
Did you get the vegetables?
Yeah, I'll be out there on the Blackstone like I did it. So, and I'm gonna make some guacamole. I got
you buy some zucchini and stuff to make some like teppanyaki.
I did. I have red, yellow, orange, green peppers, and onions, and I'm gonna put those on the Blackstone.
You gonna make the onion stack and then pour the oil in and do the choo-choo train? Like
I'm not Benihana's. I'm going Mexican today. I'm gonna make this guacamole in a few minutes because somebody gave me 6 big old avocados off their tree, and they were super hard last week, so I kept them in the brown bag. Now they're good, so I'm gonna make
brown bag lady.
So that's what I'm gonna be doing later. So enjoy your meal, your baba ganoush. Is that what you said you were getting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
I know. And shawarma.
I don't think that's there at this place.
What?
Yeah, they have everything, but they have lamb, beef, chicken.
I know, but it's chicken shawarma or beef shawarma. That's the sauce. That's the.
I don't know. I've never seen that on his menu, but.
Oh wow, that he ain't for real Mediterranean.
No, he is. He gives some arguments over that. I just want the lamb chops. He be making some bomb lamb. The best things here are the lamb chops and the salmon. Oh God, the salmon.
What you eating, Jamal?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I was tearing up some.
While you was talking today, he was in there going.
I did have some sausage and pancakes. But I don't know. I'm gonna eat something else later.
Guess what I had at the Loma Alta for breakfast?
Sausage and pancakes.
Pancakes, probably. Pancakes and bacon. And I was eating with Sydney, and Sydney was like, "Where's salt and pepper?" I said, "Sydney, and bring your own, man.
Right?
Bring some hot sauce next time while you're at it." I keep a little bottle like this much hot sauce in my car. I never know I have to run to the car as emergencies. All right, y'all. Well, it looks like we've all run out of steam, so let's go ahead and call it a day.
I just got an email from Cal OES, which is, Office of Emergency Services, that says a local nonprofit organization in the Eaton area is helping gather information on housing needs for affected individuals and families. This survey is designed to collect essential information from individuals and families impacted by the Eaton fire to better understand their current housing status, financial situation, and long-term needs. The goal is to help orgs and partners provide tailored support and resources as efficiently as possible. Survey in English and Spanish, and there's a link. You want me to just copy the link and put it in the WhatsApp?
Yeah, copy the link.
Let me do it real quick. So if you want
to this party started.
And if people want to do it, hold on. They can, but apparently they're asking people to fill that out to see if they wait, is that from Victory? Hold on. Google Doc. Wait, no. Okay, that's a different one. It didn't say who the org is, but it says Dina Housing Needs Survey. Yeah, it doesn't say who it is, but hey, Mike, give me a minute. I'm gonna call you right back. I'm ending my podcast. Give me about 10 minutes. Okay, bro.
Okay.
Bye.
That gave me an idea just now.
Yeah, so that's a survey we could put in the chat, and if people feel like they want to do it, then that's fine.
Caller, you're on the air.
Mm-hmm.
We should have a hotline where people can call in and we can put the phone back there.
Yeah, I was wondering about the building. We got to see I'm wondering what's happening. Can somebody give me some answers?
Yep.
There's this dentist on Instagram called the Singing Dentist. And he does mockery videos. So he did Candy and had the Larry Blackman cup on and was dancing, talking about you got cavities because eating too much candy. You're looking like you're crazy with that jug mouth smile.
That's very wrong.
It's funny though. It's funny. Oh my God.
Thanks, Jamal, for putting that up. You guys know I hate putting stuff up without venting, but that came from the Cal OES office. So it's there if you
Did you say you hate to put stuff up without venting?
Vetting. Oh yeah, I did say venting without vetting it. But I trust Jennifer from the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. So she sends me stuff. She knows how I am. So I trust her that she just sent that to me to put it here and say you guys can take a look at it. So if you want to fill that out, there you go. And if you don't, that's cool too. But thanks for putting it up, Jamal, because that literally came in right when we were getting ready to hang up. So have a good day, everyone. Enjoy your meals, Brian and Jamal. And I'm going to get to
with the Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday. So I will see y'all in mañana.
Yes, you will. For way back Wednesdays.
Yes.
Bye, everyone. Have a good day.